Hello, friends. I am Julia, and today we are going to talk about weakening cause and effect claims on the GMAT. When it comes to causal relationships on the GMAT verbal section, there are three common errors that authors like to make. First up is sequencing. The author is assuming that their cause, X, is leading to their effect, Y, simply because X happened before Y. The order of events alone is probably not enough to support a causal claim. Let's say you had a headache. So you took an aspirin and then the headache went away. Did the aspirin make the headache go away? Maybe. Headaches are a problem that aspirin is known to cure because it is a pain reliever. However, your headache might have gone away on its own if you gave it enough time. Sometimes they do that. It could have been due to dehydration, and when you had some water to take your aspirin, it was actually the water that you drank that really cured it. It could even be that the headache was in response to some external stimulus, like you were in a loud room or there was a strong scent that was bothering you, and when you left to go get aspirin, you got away from the stimulus, and by getting away from it, you removed the cause and your headache went away. So even though aspirin could plausibly cure a headache, there's no guarantee that that's a safe assumption. Second up is co-occurrence. So the fact that two things occur simultaneously does not mean that one is the cause of the other. For instance, let's say that in cities where the number of bike commuters is really high, rates of cardiovascular health are also better than average. Therefore, riding a bike causes improved cardiovascular health. This argument observes that two things coexist in the same location, high bike commuting and better heart health, and then it leads to a causal conclusion. The two might be correlated, but the argument fails to rule out other factors that could explain both happening at the same time. These cities might promote healthy lifestyles in general, such as better access to parks, fresh food, good access to health care. People who already prioritize their health might choose to live in cities where biking is more common, or higher socioeconomic status in these cities could lead to the people there both having more time and energy to ride a bike around a lot and having better health outcomes. So while biking can improve cardiovascular health, making the causal link seem plausible, again, the argument doesn't establish that biking is the reason for the improved health. It just notes that the two things are co-occurring, and an assumption that they are causally linked, you have some availability to poke holes into it. Finally, confusing correlation and causation. If two variables are correlated, they change in predictable ways in relation to each other. So if they're positively correlated, they will increase together and decrease together. If they're negatively correlated, an increase in one would lead to a decrease in the other, and vice versa. If you see correlation, that does not mean causation. So let's look at a short example. Over the last decade, regions with higher minimum wages have also experienced stronger economic growth. These are two things that are positively correlated, wages and economic growth. Therefore, raising the minimum wage causes economic growth. That is assuming that where there is correlation, there is causation. The argument identifies a correlation. Minimum wage and economic growth tend to rise together in certain areas, and then it asserts a causal relationship. But the reasoning skips right over several plausible alternative explanations. High growth areas may raise wages reactively. Thriving local economies can usually afford higher wages, so growth could cause the wage hike instead of what the author is assuming, which is that the wage hike is causing the growth. A third variable influence, factors like increased investment, high education levels, or strong infrastructure could also independently be driving both growth and increases in the minimum wage. And selection bias, the data may reflect regions already poised for growth regardless of wage changes. That one isn't as common because of the way that we treat premises, but it will occasionally come up. Whenever you see an author make a causal claim, keep your mind open. There is a good chance that the correct answer will address one of these errors. In questions where the goal is to strengthen the argument, it'll probably rule out one of the alternatives. So ruling out an alternative plausible cause, ruling out a sequencing issue, something like that. In questions where the goal is to weaken the argument, it might introduce an alternative plausible cause or show that the proposed effect happened before the proposed cause. There are a handful of ways to impact arguments that are built around a causal relationship, and there's several, but if you learn them all, you will notice that when a causal relationship shows up, it's almost always going to be one of those things. So get into the habit of interacting with causal claims on the GMAT verbal section in this way, and you will find it much easier to pick out the best answer for your task. Thank you. I will see you next time.